Welcome back again to our employee spotlight. Today we are interviewing the famous and fabulous DJ Gardner. Um, DJ, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what your role is here?
My name's DJ Gardner. I just started last May. I'm the embedded technician at the Chillicothe site, so I kind of handle everything that they have as far as their access control and their camera systems are concerned.
And how did you get your start at SC DataCom?
Well, I was working in IT. I found that with the advent of AI and some changes in the industry, some of the opportunities were shutting down in the field of IT. And so I previously had done access control working for a locksmith company. It had been a few years prior, but I really enjoyed that. So I started looking for opportunities that would align with some of that experience. And SC DataCom actually reached out to me over a job interview website and kind of struck up a conversation, and everything went from there.
So you realize that makes you a unicorn, that you know how to do the IT side and the physical security side, because those are really like parallel lanes. It's hard to get them to cross.
Yeah.
So, tell me about your first exposure into access control and what interested you about that.
So that's kind of how I ended up. A funny story about that. I went to college for psychology, but I was also having trouble getting a job in that field because there were a lot of college graduates at the time. And so I decided to change it up. I was like, well, let me try a trade. And I really enjoyed locks and security and stuff like
Hmm.
that. And so I started just going into lock shops and talking to the owners, and one of them I went into, the owner really hit it off. We talked for about 2 hours. He gave me a tour of his shop, and then the next week I was scheduled for a ride along with one of his technicians. And what kind of got me into that position was I told them I was familiar with some technology, computer stuff. They had a lot of older technicians who weren't as comfortable with newer technologies. And the way that access control was going, they were integrating a lot of stuff, smart home features, all that stuff. And they wanted somebody to kind of spearhead that. And that's how I wound up getting brought on as their kind of their tech guy for that shop.
Go get her. I love that. That's very similar to how I got my first job. I graduated college with an English degree, which was about as in demand as your psychology degree. And I told my parents that I wanted to work in an art gallery, and they were like, I guess you better find an art gallery that's hiring. So I did the same thing. I walked around and knocked on all the doors until I found one that was, in fact, hiring. So that's funny. So what do you enjoy most about your current role?
Well, kind of everything. It's challenging in its own ways. It's got a lot of new stuff that I have to learn, and I kind of have to learn it on the fly. For some people, that might find that kind of I don't know, scary, I guess. But for me, I find myself getting bored sometimes if I'm doing the same repetitive stuff. Like I was when I worked at the help desk, you think you'd get a lot of variety, but it's usually the same person calling every week asking for help changing their password. But
Right.
this is something where you run into very weird stuff. You go in behind somebody else's wiring. You gotta learn new technologies. I've been to a couple other sites where I had to learn stuff that I'd never touched before and learn it fast. So that's one thing I enjoy. I enjoy the autonomy. I kind of, have a good working relationship with the customer and can prioritize stuff in my own order. There's stuff that needs to get done, but sometimes they'll come to like, hey, this is kind of an important thing. So just a lot of it's new stuff every day basically is the best part of it.
Yeah, that's great. What was the, to use your word, the weirdest problem you've ever been called in to solve?
So far here, um, there are two that come to mind. There was a door that was kind of eaten me alive. And they have two access control systems running concurrently at this site. And I was having so much trouble figuring it out. And it turned out that a previous access control board was left powered on above the door, but there was a second line that was above an HVAC duct that was running to that door, and I didn't know about it. So I was troubleshooting the wrong system because the
Oh.
door still existed in the old system.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And then
Well, no wonder
there
you
was
weren't fixing it.
yeah, then there was a camera that was offline forever, and finally ended up having to trace the cable all the way back, and it was in a storage room that had this massage chair, and we figured out that somebody had climbed above the ceiling to unplug the camera so that they could sit in there and sit in the massage chair.
You know, different people have different priorities, right?
Yeah.
That's a good one. That's really funny. Can you share with me a challenge that you've overcome in your professional experience? It doesn't have to be this role.
Oh gosh. I think the most interesting story is probably when I worked as the lock shop. I got selected to be the technician to go do a pick open for law enforcement. And I was thinking it was just going to be like one of the casual ones where, you show up, there's a sheriff's deputy there, that kind of thing. Well, I showed up to the site and there were about 40 other cars and three different agencies that were all gearing up for a raid. And we like drove from one location to another and they surrounded this house with guns drawn. And I had to unlock this door with officers behind me.
Oh my
That
gosh.
was that's my favorite locksmithing story, I think.
And was that a competition or like a real thing that you
No,
were?
it was a real police raid.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
my favorite story from that job.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, you really don't know what you're going to get into in this industry, right?
No, all kinds of stuff.
Oh my gosh. What's something that you're proud of in your professional experience?
Um, I would say that I've learned a lot of different technologies in a very kind of short amount of time. I've been exposed to a lot of different products, and I've done a bunch of different training courses, and I feel like I have a pretty solid understanding of most of them. Um, and I guess just having that variety of experience under my belt kind of makes me proud that I was able to accomplish, attaining those certifications and working on those projects and making the things work, I guess is the main thing. When I
Hmm?
go home, they're buzzing and running the way they should.
So, in your relatively short time at SC DataCom, you have racked up quite a host of certifications.
Yeah, not all of them yet. There's a few on the list I still want to get, but I'm kind of
Which ones are you targeting?
well, the main one is AMAG is the system here that I work
Mhm.
on, and they have an advanced AMAG course they're getting ready to release that I would like to get that done.
Great.
Um, and I'm interested in the evolved weapons detection system. I did the basic training for those.
Mhm.
Those were very interesting devices. I've never seen anything like that, and it's cool to be able to. I feel like that's kind of the cutting edge of security technology, and being able to work on stuff like that is really interesting to me.
Yeah, I agree. So I think you're a wonderful example for people that want to get into this. I personally love someone that just has the gumption to go find an opportunity and claim it. Um, if you were mentoring someone who was interested in having a career like yours, how would you advise that they do it? Do you think trade school? Do you think just going in to be an apprentice, formal education? How would you say that they'd be best suited to go about it?
Well, in my experience, I value formal education the most as far as like what helps me personally learn. But as far as getting opportunities, what's been most successful for me is basically just kind of doing my own studying. Like when I got the locksmithing job, I was already familiar with computers and technology, and I just walked in. I didn't really have any real credentials as far as professional experience. I did a short technical support job. I only was there for about 3 months and got a different gig. So I didn't have any official stuff to put on my resume. So take your interests, I would say, the stuff that you're passionate about learning about, and maybe do a project, something that you can give an example of if you get a job interview, or if you can find somebody to talk to. Because ultimately, I think that's what got me into most of my positions. When I got the IT job, it was working as a locksmith who did access control. So it was just kind of bouncing back and forth between those overlapping areas that kind of helped me be successful in advancing my career. It wasn't necessarily that I went to college or that I have specific certifications, because I feel like having real world experience is more valued now than what you have on the paper, and being able to show your work is,
Yeah.
I think, what people look for.
Yeah, well, and also you're part of those, you're a unicorn in another way in that you're good at the book learning and the hands-on. I have seen some people try to get into this that, they're just trying to rack up the certifications, but they forget that the practical experience is the whole point. And so you have to, click through the PowerPoints and then also practically use those skills. I think you've done a really nice job of building up both. Um, do you feel like your psychology degree helps you in any hidden ways? Did you get any soft skills from that you use in your career now?
Oh yeah, definitely. So the two main examples is people skills is one thing, being able to talk to the customer, being able to de-escalate situations if somebody's upset with, something that's going on. Not that we've really run into that here in my experience,
But
but
that could be problematic. I mean, you're maintaining a critical system in a healthcare environment. So
right.
sometimes it does get, I'd say sometimes people would have a high sense of urgency.
Yeah, I'd say the people skills, and then also, I don't know, I guess, um I, in my general life and like where I want to go down the road career wise, am very focused at security. And I guess one of the fields that I studied in psychology was abnormal psychology, and like trying to understand people's behavior. So like looking for things, security flaws, loopholes, stuff like that, that people, your average person wouldn't necessarily look for, kind of think like how somebody who is going to violate that security might think. That's kind of what I try to apply when I'm installing a new system. Try and think of stuff that could be, used in the wrong way,
Hmm.
and try to mitigate those problems.
Yeah, that's excellent. So what are your big career goals?
Well, I'm happy here and I want to do this for quite a bit longer. So that's not looking for anything new, but I think
Whew.
down the line I want to try and get involved in some more like uh pen testing, like security, like trying to be hired by companies to attack their company and then tell them how to fix the
Mm.
problems. That's kind of
Hmm.
something that interests me.
Okay.
So red teaming, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's very cool. And then lastly, why is security work meaningful to you?
Um, it is it's meaningful to me because one, it's it's got job security for one thing.
It does
Everything
have that, yeah.
needs to be secured. And two, it's just I don't know, it's interesting to me that it's constant puzzles. Trying to it's basically the concept of securing things is figuring out a way to be smarter than the guy that wants to, you know, attack your security, I guess, is the main thing. And trying to understand that is just, I don't know, endlessly entertaining to me as far as like learning and trying to figure stuff out.
Yeah, yeah. I bet you were a big Rubik's Cube kid back in the day.
Hanayama puzzles, the little,
Yep, yep. Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, I'm gonna stop the recording here. Um, and well, how do I? Or I'm just going to keep it going. um, but this was really good. I appreciate it. So next steps, I'm going to pass this off to Destiny, who's our freelance marketing gal, and she's going to chop it all up and make us both sound, the most polished professional version of ourselves. And then she'll put together a long version and then a couple-minute version that we'll share out in a company email and on social media. And I'll send you those before we do it, just so you can see and approve it. She will also probably reach out to you to get some B-roll footage of you doing your things. Obviously, be cautious of OPSEC, don't record anything that's secret, but even you getting into a van or climbing a ladder or whatever, works. Just some like behind the scenes footage. And then separately from what we've talked about today, I'm going to drop a bug in Mac's ear about not necessarily immediately because I know he's already built out his training calendar, but maybe soon we can look at a PSP. Have you heard of that?
No, I don't think so.
Look it up. I think you'll be interested. It's a physical security professional. It's a PSP credential. It's a really big deal credential, and it's done through ASIS, ASIS. That sounds like it might be really up your alley.
Oh
It
yeah,
would be a big deal credential, so it would be really great to just have on your name. But also it's all about exactly what you were saying, like walking into a facility and seeing all of the what ifs, so that you can best design a system to help conquer all of those. I think you would find it very interesting.
I agree. That sounds
Yeah.
awesome.
Good. Okay, great. Well, I'll drop a line to Mac about that, and then he can reach back out to you probably for, 2026. Just start working on making people smarter. And we'll go from there.
Sounds great.
Awesome. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Bye.
You too. Bye bye.